Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul. I am a nerd, and this is the November. I had to stop and think there for a minute. It was a beautiful day yesterday. It didn't feel like November. Today, it feels like November. It is the November 2013 Virtual User Group meeting for Worldox users. Today, we are talking about two things that are add-ons, if you will. They are things that you can get to go with Worldox. One of them, I would have to say that the vast majority of our clients that have Worldox have this first thing that we're going to talk about. It's called Symphony, and it is OCR software. Mary Jo will tell you what that means and why it might be important to you to have Symphony. I am going to talk about something called Legal Anywhere, which is, nerd speak, is an extranet. It is basically a way for you to provide a place for your clients and other people that are working on matters with you, co-counsel, perhaps even opposing counsel, to have access to certain documents in the cloud, on the web, and to get those documents to that cloud through Worldox. So that's something called Legal Anywhere. But before we start with our two topics, a little bit of housekeeping. This is your GoToWebinar control panel, which many of you who are regular attendees have probably already gotten rid of. But if you're new and don't know how to get this thing out of your way, and you may find that it's covering up our screen, so you want to get it out of the way, this little button here that looks like an arrow pointing to the right, if you click it, will force this big thing out of the way, basically slide it right off your screen. This then will be the only thing that's left showing this series of buttons, and this one here will change into a button that looks more like an arrow pointing to the left. Clicking it again will cause this to slide back into focus for you. Now, the only reason probably that you would want to slide it back into focus is that you can type a question here. So if you type a question here, and don't forget, hit the send button, Leanne will see that question and she will interrupt either Mary Jo or myself at an opportune time, and she will ask your question on your behalf. If you have follow-up questions while we are answering your question, just keep typing them and keep hitting send, because Leanne will be watching that space on her screen to make sure that you don't have any follow-up questions, and if you do, she will continue to ask them for you. If you are not feeling shy and have a question, perhaps you might want to consider, Patty and I were talking last Friday, I don't think we've had anybody raise their hand in quite a long time, but this is the button to raise your hand. And if you do that, Leanne will again notice that you have raised your hand and will interrupt us again at the opportune time. But instead of reading your question for you, she will unmute your microphone and let you ask your own darn question. So if you prefer, you can raise your hand and ask your question. Again, we'll leave you unmuted until we're done answering the question. So if you have more questions as we're answering, just keep interrupting until you get your question answered. So now, without any further ado, we are going to switch over to, what are we switching over to? Well, we'll switch over to that, or we'll switch into Worldox. How's that? And Mary Jo will tell you a little bit about Symphony.
Okay. Well, before I get into exactly what Symphony will do for you, I want to talk a little bit about Worldox and how Worldox works. We have what we call the indexer machine, and if we've set up Worldox or if you run Worldox or are familiar with that, the indexer is looking at all of the documents out there and looking at all of the text that is in there and indexing every word out there so that later on you can type in a word and you can find it. And it happens all in the background. You don't even see it, but every time you save a document, the indexer is going out there and reading all of that text. But what happens when you have a document that doesn't have text? It's not a Word document or a WordPerfect document. It's a PDF document or something that you can't really read because it's really, a PDF document is like a picture. It's not able to be read like a text document would be read. So some of you that, before, Symphony, when you actually scan it, to hit this little OCR button, and it will OCR the document to make it so that it is text searchable. Now, what is OCR? OCR means optical character recognition. So it's taking all of those little pixelated dots and things like that and making them into a code that it can then read as text. And that's what that little OCR button is doing when you do it on your scanner. Well, Symphony Suite is an add-on for Worldox that you can have running in the background, and it's going to go through all of your PDF documents and those documents that are not readable that are stored in Worldox, and it's going to automatically OCR those documents to make them readable and text searchable in Worldox. So we have Symphony Suite loaded in here, and Paul, you're going to have to help me where it is on here. Can you open Symphony for me? I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you. So what we do is we install Symphony on the indexer machine, so it's out of the way, and it runs off of a web browser. And here is our main screen here with the summary, and the system condition has a nice green check mark there, meaning everything is go. It has the little backlog summary, so it's going to keep going out there, and it's going to grab documents, and it's going to index those documents for you and make them OCR'd so you can read them. There's some setup things here that we initially do. And then after that, you pretty much can just let this go in the background. Maybe check it, once a week, once a month, whatever you're doing, just to make sure that your condition is still green. Occasionally, there will be a document that's open, and when it goes to OCR it, it can't because somebody's got that document open. And so that's the common thing that I see when this turns into like a yellow kind of a system condition that's saying that there's something you need to address. Usually it just needs to be a document that you have to reanalyze because it had been open at the time it originally started to do that. So it's pretty easy to maintain. It runs in the background. Like I said, you don't have to really do too much once it's set up. It will go back and link to the profile groups that you tell it, so that if you only want to do the client profile, you can. It will give you a status of which documents are processed, which ones are already OCR'd, if there were any corrupted documents or encrypted, because some documents it just cannot read. There's certain types of documents that they aren't text searchable because there's no text in them. It might be a picture or something. So there are some documents it may find that it can't analyze and do. But that will just, it works pretty smoothly. And
one of the best kinds of programs there is, the ones that you don't really have to pay any attention to.
And Paul, I'll let you add on if there's anything else that I'm missing on the explanation there.
Well, the one thing I'd add is that it's important to understand that your documents that are PDFs don't always come from where you think they do. People say, well, we're scanning our documents, that's how we make the PDFs, and so therefore we're paying a file clerk and they have time so they can go and make those readable themselves. That's fine, but the thing is that's not the only place your documents that are PDF come from. Attorneys are getting documents right and left in emails, and they're dragging them into Worldox and they're profiling them, and they have no idea that they're not readable when they do that. Another common area that documents get into Worldox without being made OCR readable is faxes. If you're getting your faxes as PDFs that are just attachments to emails, which is how a lot of people get them, that's how we get them here, and you're profiling those emails with the faxes, or you're just dragging the faxes themselves up to Worldox, then those are not being made readable either, unless you are doing something to them before you put them in the Worldox. So people don't really realize that there are probably a lot of documents in your system that you may think you're able to search, but you can't.
Same thing with disks. I find a lot of times law firms will get a disk from maybe the opposing counsel or something like that, and there are, literally, 50, 100 documents on that disk that they just drag into Worldox and drop. And again, PDFs could be in that as well.
That's exactly right. Those are the things that you need to watch for, because it is important to most firms, to most lawyers, to be able to search their document bank, their document store, and look for text within a document. And a lot of lawyers have the misguided perception that those PDFs are all searchable. Now, there is something that we can do if you have a question about how many documents you might have that aren't searchable. We can load the analyzer from Symphony, which is the thing that goes through and finds all the documents that need to be read, OCR'd. I can talk, really. It's Monday. And can tell you how many you have, and a lot of information about those documents that you have that are not already made readable, or as I like to say, readed. And that we can put on your system for free. The people at Symphony realize that if you get this and load it up and find out you've got a lot of documents that aren't already OCR'd, that you might just consider getting Symphony. So they're more than happy to have us put that on your system and run it and analyze your existing store of documents so that you can get a good picture of what Symphony might be able to do for you. So, and that's one thing about Symphony is it doesn't just do the things that are coming in. It also does the things that are already sitting there. So that's another place that people don't realize that they don't have OCR documents is their legacy data, the stuff that they've brought into Worldox or that they've had for quite some time. Now, some people have been scanning only for a short time. Others may have started scanning years ago, but may not have been OCR in those documents as they were getting them in. So, very good. Thanks very much, Mary Jo.
Any questions, Leanne?
There are no questions.
Okay.
You know what we say around here, that means she explained it good. Okay, I'm going to talk about another thing that's an add-on to Worldox, and that is Legal Anywhere. Now I'm going to sneak into here because I forgot to grab this and open it up. I'm going to go to my contact system and make sure I get to the right thing here. Yeah, maybe. Is it really? Yeah, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just going to actually try this here, www.legal. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. So, should I tell a lawyer joke while I'm trying to find this? No, found it. Everyone's been saved. Nobody has to listen to my bad lawyer jokes. Okay, I'm going to sign in to Legal Anywhere. Now, this is a regular web browser. This happens to be Google Chrome. And I have gone to the ACS demo portal page. This is something that can be hooked right into your website, or you can have a separate address like I do here, legalanywhere.net/ACS demo. Yours might be / your firm name. But it can be incorporated right into your website so that people think and get the perception that this is something that's coming straight from your website. And I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And this is the main page that your clients would see if you gave them access to Legal Anywhere. And now this is an example of a law firm, Williams Faulkner, having given a certain client access to specific matters. So this client must be Water's Edge Incorporated, and they have these 6 matters that they can access within the portal. Now, these would be synonymous with matters within your Worldox client files structure, or certain other types of documents that you might have in Worldox that maybe perhaps fit into different areas other than client files. You could perhaps give your clients access to certain form documents so that they can then pull up, fill in, send to you, and have you clean up and make legal and get signed copies of. Or you can give them access to the documents that are being used within their matter. You can literally set up a matter or a brand new client or both within a matter of about 1 to 2 minutes. Once you get Legal Anywhere all set up and hooked into your website, and once you get Worldox set to pump documents into Legal Anywhere, you can add a new matter for a client literally in a minute or 2. It actually becomes a great tool for getting new clients if you can set up a sample matter within their custom designed web portal just for them the client Water's Edge in this example, to show them how you can get documents to them. I'm going to go to corporate, and in here you're going to see that one of the things we have access to is documents, and within that we have a bunch of different folders that we can store documents in for the Water's Edge corporate matter. And so if I click on corporate and governance, I see these documents. This particular email document is one that I, as a user, have been granted read-only access to, so it's grayed out like this. I can see it, but I can't change it. Other documents I might be granted read-write access to, where I could see them, change them, submit changes to other people for approval, all sorts of things like that. So it's a great way for you to be able to interact with your clients, to interact with co-counsel, to interact even with opposing counsel, to get documents to them that they need to have constant access to without you having to ferret them back and forth via email. Now, the real thing that I want to show you about this, however, is how it integrates with Worldox. So if I pull up, just my favorite files, I suppose, and I find a file in here, like this letter that we wrote for my wife to hopefully get excused from jury duty. And we decide that we would like to take this and put this onto the website for this Water's Edge corporate matter and all the people that are granted access to it to be able to see. All I have to do is right-click on that document, choose Send to, and choose Client Portal. When I do that, Legal Anywhere pops up. It logs itself in from my machine, gives me an example, an opportunity to choose the place where it's going to go, and if I want to choose a specific folder that it's going to go to. I can also decide who's going to be able to access it, and I can either say everybody should be able to access this or certain people should be able to access it, and I can even say what level of access they're going to have on an individual by individual basis. When I'm done, I tell it I'm done, and it, in the background, while I can continue to work, while I can go on and do something else, it will take this file and get it up there. Oh, I don't know why I had an error. Let's see what's going on. Mary Jo was pointing at me. Say again, Mary Jo? Yeah. Let's see. We're going to do this one more time and see if we can get it right. Sample content. We want it actually to go to corporate. We want it to go to governance. Okay. I'm going to click Finish. And I'm getting an error. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. This is probably something to do with the fact that my demo system gets hit from all sides with people showing things to other people or messing with things to try and play with things. But this email right here, this happy birthday email I did this morning, and once you get it in there, it shows up instantly. Okay, so obviously I've got something a little off kilter as far as my settings, but I think you get the idea. With Worldox and its integration directly with Legal Anywhere, I can highlight a document, or I can flag several different documents, and I can choose Send to and Client Portal, and pretty much instantly be able to get this uploaded to the other site so that any document can be put out in the cloud for anybody that's got the access to that matter to see literally within a matter of seconds. Of course, granted that we don't get an error trying to do that. But other than that, that is Legal Anywhere. Now, Legal Anywhere has just announced also that they have a new flavor to this product, a new extension of this product. We just talked about an extranet, which again, as I said, that's a nerd term, but what it means is it's a network that people from outside my firm can access to get access to certain documents that normally are within the confines of my network. It's an extranet meant for other people outside of my network to come to. They have just announced the ability for a firm that has Legal Anywhere to also have and host an intranet, meaning that if you want to have places, an internal place that your employees can log into and log time or keep track of their hours or see certain documents that are being shared, perhaps form libraries, things like that, or be able to have daily announcements and newsletters that are going out. That's another side to Legal Anywhere. Of course, right now we're focusing on the external part of it, the ability to get these documents from Worldox out into the cloud for other people to be able to see and work with. Are there any questions, Leanne?
There are no questions, Paul.
There are no questions. Very good. Well, with that then, we'll take a quick look at what we're doing next month. Typically at the end of the year, when we're having our virtual user group meetings, and Worldox is a new one, so we haven't done one of these yet. Typically at the end of the year, we will have a year in review sort of thing, where we take a look back and look at what we have had happen in the world of Worldox. Now, with 2013, that means GX3 came out. The Worldox Enterprise Server was released, allowing us to extend the internal documents to everybody that works for the firm, not like Legal Anywhere, where we're extending them to people that have been granted access but are not users of Worldox. We had the ability to have the Worldox Cloud offering, which is kind of like the Enterprise Server, but it's something that Worldox hosts and holds all your documents in their servers. So we're going to talk more about those developments and all the new things that came down the pipe from Worldox in the year 2013 next month. So be sure to register and join and participate in that. I will show you that if you go to our website, Attorney Computer Systems, I emphasize the S on the end of the name there, attorneycomputersystems.com. You will notice that we have all the virtual user groups listed here, including the Worldox virtual user group. This is where you go to register, and it's also where you go to see all the recorded versions of the previous Worldox virtual user group meetings. As you can see, we started this particular user group, the Worldox virtual user group, in April of this year. So we have recorded versions of every Worldox virtual user group meeting that we've ever had. Feel free to join us there and review any of the past content, and of course that's where you go to register. So that's it for today. Everybody have a good afternoon and a good rest of the month, and we will see you in December. Thanks much. Bye-bye.